Welcome back to the channel today. I'm Real Estate Gaming. I'm going to start. Anyway, today we're going to be doing a video on a group of people from Holmes County, Florida, in the Chattahoochee River area by Ponce de Leon, Florida. And these people are commonly referred to in historical documents and whatnot as the Dominickers of Holmes County, Florida. Most people who know of these people know them mainly from discussions about the Melusian people of Appalachia. That's a whole other topic. There are a ton of videos on that. But I decided to do a video on this topic today because there's not a lot of info known about them. And as someone whose father was Native American descent and grew up around that area, and knew people of this descent, the Dominickers, people who were Dominickers from that area, I figured I would do a video on it and explain the history behind it and what the context and how they came to be and all that stuff. So, anyway, onto the video. Now, those not know, Holmes County is up in the Florida Panhandle. It borders L.A. For those who not know what L.A. is in context, it's pretty much lower Alabama. And lower Alabama is constantly referred to as L.A. Some people may hear L.A. from someone south, and they'll say, oh, my folks are from L.A. or something. And they'll be, oh, you're from California? No, L.A., lower Alabama. That's for the context of that. These people mainly settle around the west side of the county, in the southwest corner of the county of Holmes County, mainly along the Chattahoochee River, and mainly were known to the group of the citizens of Ponce de Leon. They were reputed to be of Native American descent, white descent, and black descent, and there are a few origin stories on how their descendants originally came to the area. One story describes them being descendants of a Native American tribe led by a man named Jim Crow, not like sort of akin to the Jim Crow laws of the South at the time, but no, a different Jim Crow. He was a leader of a tribe called the Uachi Indians. I do not know how to pronounce that word. If I say it wrong, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Anyway, this tribe of Indians, they originally came down from Alabama and intermarried with some white people, and black people, because slavery was a time and Native Americans would intermarry with their people and whatnot. And that's one of the ways they came to be. Now, the other one, and the first mention of their origins, pertains to a popular mention in a print, it was a guidebook, really, published in 1939 by the Federal Writers Project. And the Dominickers were described as being descendants of a widow of a pre-Civil War plantation owner, and and mainly these people were ancestors. Father was of either black descent or was a biracial person who was of African American and white descent. And the woman's husband died fighting the Civil War, apparently, and eventually she married the half-brother and had kids with him. Eventually they married into a Native American community or whatever. This evidence itself is not signed by anyone, and it's an unsigned article, really, and it states that the numerous descendants still lived in the area at the time of that article being published, and that the kids there either attended the segregated school, which was an all-black school because they had African American blood in them, because the South was racist as shit at the time. I mean, the North was too. Entirely America is everyone in the world is fucking racist. I'm gonna just get that out of the way, alright? I'm gonna be real with you. The whole world is a bunch of racist assholes. Anyway, the Dominickers, they had a small community that was completely and socially separate from both whites and blacks. The best way I can describe their community is mainly being similar to the Creoles of Louisiana at the time. Now, their appearance has been described from being a sort of Mediterranean, Cuban, Spanish look, with olive skin, wavy hair, green eyes, that type of complexion, to being almost similar to a common white person with blonde hair, blue eyes, or even having a black kind of appearance, like curly hair, like appearance, like a standard black person. And they would say that and they would be talking about a single family of these people. And the people in that family, they could go ranging, like I'm saying, from looking completely white to looking biracial, to looking Native American, to looking just completely black in one single family of people, of Dominickers. All right? And anyway, going on to this, there are very few sources on these people. There are two unpublished transcripts that are preserved and archived at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and they were used as a source of history and information on the Dominickers themselves. To go into further detail, these articles mainly describe their appearance and what these people did for a living. The men themselves of the Dominickers were described as very vindictive and very treacherous and sensitive to certain topics themselves. Mainly what they were saying is that they'll be good friends with you if you help them and you don't fuck them over. That's pretty much what they're saying here. But if you fuck them over, they're going to fucking beat your ass. That's what they're saying about these people. That they're a hard-working group of people. These people were described as being very well-known horse trainers and known makers of high-quality moonshine at the time. And the men were described as being very big and burly and known for working in hard labor in the hard labor industry, like timber, agricultural pursuits, if you will. Now, the women themselves, however, were described to be of short stature, kind of chubby looking, and were sort of shapeless in their appearance, wearing loose clothing and going barefoot most of the time while taking care of the household. Now, the way the society treated these people, they were either treated sort of akin to being like white people or Native American, where they were given certain privileges, or even being treated like common black people at the time and not being allowed to be anywhere near the white populace, because the South being a bunch of dumb fucks at the time with racism. Now, because they were of multiracial descent, some of their children were allowed to go to the white school, though from documents recorded about these people, the school would not allow the children to graduate, and eventually they would have to go to the segregated school for minorities like Native Americans and black people. There are a few pictures of Dominickers from the late 19th century and early 20th century, and like I described earlier, some of the pictures show them being have a fair complexion to a swarthy appearance. A few of the pictures are of women, and like I said, they have a olive-skinned appearance with wavy hair, a kind of look of a Greek, how some people from Greece look, kind of, you know. And one person, like I said, described them as either having a possible Cuban ancestry or Spanish ancestry. So that just says pretty much what they kind of look like, to give you a general description. Now, there are 5 different, overall, folks, there's 5 different accounts of how these people came to be. Like I said, one is the plantation wife and the half-black slave brother origin. Other one is of how they originally intermarried with a Native American tribe, the Native American tribe intermarried with the descendants of that woman and her half-black slave lover. And other example of the story was there was a Indian chief of the Ua Chief tribe, or however you pronounce that. I'm sorry if I mispronounced this shit. And it says that the chief, his name was Jim Crow, he was apparently a Indian prince of a chief named Sam Story of the local Indian tribe, who married a woman who was described as being very beautiful. Her name was Harriet. And eventually the tribe, they moved south to escape prosecution by white people who wanted to take their land and say, fuck you, get the fuck out. And put them on the Trail of Tears, pretty much. Well, after the Trail of Tears. The woman herself was described as being 2/3 white and being the servant of a local white family. So she was a half-white, half-black woman, pretty much. A mixed race, or historical context, a mulatto. Which I believe is French or something. I forget what it is. Anyway, the woman and the Native American chief's son, they had a daughter and they named her Eliza. And when the tribe immigrated to South Florida in 1832, shortly after Sam's death, the chief's son's father, Harriet, who may have been her owner's daughter, and the baby stayed with the white family. Eventually, the daughter of Harriet, Eliza, married a yellow boy, a mulatto, a mixed race person who was a half white, half black by the name of Jim Harris, the son of a slave who belonged to other white family. Their daughter was named Lovey. Eventually, she married a other mixed race son and had a large family of children who married into another Native American family. And eventually, they intermarried with some white people, and eventually they became not being considered what is now referred as Dominickers. Now, on census records for these people of Holmes County, of the federal censuses of the time, these people eventually actually were also in Walton and Washington counties, and this first census is from 1850 and listed many of these Dominicker families as variously identified as white, mixed race, and black. And like I said, among the same family themselves, like I was saying, like the father could be looking white, the mother could be looking black, but the son would look like he was native, pretty much. And for the classifications at the time for the census, they eventually had to go for individual basis because of their ancestry, pretty much. And the next census, however, showed after the Civil War that many of the Dominickers married into white families and whatnot, and eventually the children even had more white ancestry to them. And the final census is from 1950, and apparently the enumerators were instructed to make note of local populations of triracial ancestry in the eastern United States. And Holmes County, Florida itself, and nowhere else, there were 60 families of Dominickers that were counted and recorded on and designated on the census of that year. And they were designated mostly as white. A few were listed as of Native American descent, mixed with white, and apparently 5 families were listed as of black and white and Native descent. Now there is a other mention on a public health service note, a public health census, and the Dominickers themselves were interviewed by the U.S. health organizations at the time, and mainly because the health organizations, they made a trip down there to interview the local residents of the time, and they said that they were unable to make any contact with these people because they just did not want to be fucked with. They just want to be left alone to do what they want to do, just raise their families, live off the land, stuff like that, pretty much, work the land. Subsistence farming, if you will. Now, when the health organization people went down there, apparently what the white people of Holmes County said, oh, these guys, yeah, they're mixed race and whatnot, but they are also of Spanish descent. Now, after 1956, the Dominickers themselves were no longer really listed on the censuses or anything. And there's a few theories on what people say happened to these people. I mean, there are people in Holmes County who know what the Dominickers are, and there's actually people up in Holmes County who are actually Dominickers. They do not prefer to be called that. It is a historical term, for clarification here. They just prefer to be called people. Just treat them like basic fucking human beings, Anyway, these people, some reasons why these people kind of died out a bit is mainly because some say, oh, they moved to Louisiana to be with a group of people called the Redbones. You don't know what Redbone is? They are white Native American, or Native American black descent, pretty much, aka Redbones. Others say, oh, they just intermarried in a couple white families. Eventually, they just no longer existed. But there are people in Holmes County who still are of that descent. There are no known descendant organizations for the people of Dominicker descent. Funny enough, my father was friends with 2 people as a child who were of that descent, and he described them to me as saying they were hardworking people who, like I said earlier, if you treat them right, they would treat you right with dignity and respect. Just basic human decency. Anyway, folks, I'd like to thank y'all for watching this video, and if y'all were informed on the topic, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Anyway, folks, that is the story of the Dominickers of Holmes County, Florida. I hope y'all enjoyed this little historical video. If I wandered a bit, I'm sorry. It's kind of something new I'm branching into on the channel. I hope y'all enjoyed. Anyway, good luck out there, and peace. Stay tuned for more. Bye.